Yeah, I would definitely talk to Scott. Scott has kind of like developed and really done a lot of research and development in similar processes, and he's created a product and hydrographic overlays product that has a lot of versatility, and it's super excellent. And so I really encourage you to look him up. His name is Scott Jones. It's SJ_ceramics. If you want to look at his Instagram, SJ_ceramics. And he's like 3 rows behind you in the yellow hat. Yeah. And it's interesting to think about Scott's work because he's really approaching it as a ceramicist first, and I'm kind of approaching it as a printmaker. And so, yeah. All right, so I gave you the recipe of the overlays, and now I'm gonna prep it. So I have that here, and I have this kind of paste. I don't know, can you see this? This is so strange. This whole setup is so crazy. And then I'm going to add some oil medium. So I put it in a topical oil container, but it's not, so I can get through TSA. But so it's what I've been using is a printmaking medium or a modifier of ink called Safe Wash oil. So yeah, it's easy to clean up with soap and water. So I put, I don't know, about two tablespoons of this overlays, and then I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of the Safe Wash oil. I know other people have used Galkid Light. You could look up other oils. I just haven't tested a lot of different oils to use as a medium. And so now I'm going to fold this overlays into the oil. Yeah, the recipe that I gave, yeah. And then I'm just adding some medium to it. Yeah. And I'm trying to think about the consistency. It's sort of like, how can I describe it? I don't know, it's like, it reminds me of oil paint. What? Mayonnaise? Yeah, I can see that. Huh? Somebody say this? Anyway, so it's about this consistency, if you can see it. And so I have that ink set up, and now we're going to talk about the film that I'm going to use. So this film, which is like very sensitive to water, and my hands are a little sweaty, so I hope it doesn't affect it. But this film that I'm going to use is water-soluble stabilizer, and it's used for embroidery. So it's used where you basically plot out your design, your embroidery design, and then you put it on your garment or on whatever, your tea towel or whatever you're embroidering, and you then have something as a guide to plot out your design, and then it also prevents you from, it helps you create the right amount of tension for your embroidery. And the film itself is made out of PVA, so polyvinyl acetate, I think. And so the film, well, when exposed to water, will disintegrate. So you put it in the washing machine, it disappears. It's water-soluble stabilizer for embroidery. Yeah, that's the name. Yeah. And so the difference between that film and the traditional film, or like the commercial film, is that this also contains PVA, but it contains another surface, another chemical that makes it very durable, and it's the same material that's used in like airplane sealant. So thus, that's one of the reasons why you have to use kind of like intense chemicals to make it like pliable so that you can do your hydrogen. So this water-soluble embroidery film is kind of it helps with this application because with the overlays, we're trying to get the ink to make the glaze to make contact and stay onto the surface of the object, and we want it to go away completely, except for that glaze, so that when it's fired, it will stay. So we're not trying to seal the object, we're just trying to transfer the glaze to it. Okay, so the film comes and it's not very expensive. You can get it off of Amazon. It's like, I don't know, $40 for like a 30-foot roll. But the ones that you find readily are like only a certain width. So if you need something huge, you might have to source it a different way. I know that Scott has been working and developing and sourcing different films. So you can also ask him about it too. So I have the film. It has like a slight grid and a texture on one side, and then that side is a little bit shinier than the smooth side. And so I'm going to use the smooth side, and I'm going to place it under my screen, if you can see. Okay, so I have my design burned on my screen. And okay, so my screen I have coated with photo emulsion, and I did 3 coats of emulsion to sort of build up the surface. So it's a technique that in t-shirt printing, if you build up more emulsion, then when you print, you'll get a thicker layer of ink. Okay? So they do that for like printing whites onto t-shirts so that you get an opaque layer. So I did that, which increased the exposure time, and I created this design. The designs. So the one thing I think about the designs is like what happens during the hydrodip. So you can see some of the work in the slideshow. Things are like patterns that have kind of gone astray, or different repeated elements, geometric things. So I really think about that as sort of a metaphor. Again, like how this very fixed matrix that is in printmaking, how then applied to real life and other situations it becomes wonky, distorted, etc. So I think about that also when I make these patterns, when I make my images. I think about something that's like looks tight or representational or patterned, so that you can really see when the hydrographic process modifies that image. Okay, so I have my screen. I've taped out an area where I want where the image is going to go, and now I can add one thing I have added as well. I don't know if you can see this, but I've added off contact. This is like a screen printing thing where you put a little spacer on your screen so that when you're printing, your screen pops back and it doesn't rest on the surface of your print. Yeah, okay. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to add it to my surface. You might need your palette knife because it's, oil-based, so you might have to grab it again from your squeegee. Great, so now I'm going to flood my screen. So that's basically just getting the ink into place. I'm going to flood it a couple times. And then once I've flooded a couple times, I have my print here, and I'm going to, wait, I forgot one thing. I forgot a thing. I want my film to stay onto the board. So in my shop, I have a vacuum table, but here I don't have a vacuum table, so I'm going to use a little bit of spray tack. You can use like, I don't know, cricket mat or something else as well. So a little spray. I'm going to let this dry for a second. And this will just make my film stick to the board. Okay, that's good. Your head is your third hand. I always say that when I'm teaching children. Okay. So now I'm going to make a couple of prints. Okay. All right. Good. I think I'm going to do a couple of these. This is the film. I don't know if I can, what the best way to show it. It is a standard screen printing screen. It is something that was, I wanted something I could travel with, so this is just something on Amazon. I'm gonna mix a little bit more ink. This here. This film has a little bit more contrast, more of the underlays is built up. So, let's see. Okay, any questions so far?
So many.
What mesh? Oh yeah, that's a great question. So, I would use something that's like 110, something like that. Something that's more like t-shirt grade. Depends on the detail of your design. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna go to the dipping stage. So I have my object that I'm gonna use, my ceramic piece. And now I'm going to place it on the bath of water. The water that I have is like cool. It's not super cold. It's not tepid. And I want it to be cool. This is, let me show. Okay, great. So I'm going to add this to the surface of the water. I'm going to kind of drape it on, and then it will start to soften. It'll do a couple things that I'll explain. But if there's a little air bubble or something like that, then I will try to scooch it out or blow it out before the film starts to soften. This is oil-based ink, so it's not going to dry. So we're going for it, and we're trying to use that to our advantage. Okay, now what happens is that the film contracts and then it expands. And what I'm looking for now is to see the slight grid of the embroidery film. I want it to kind of soften and disappear.
Question for you. Is the film inside down or inside up?
Inside up, because we're trying to transfer that into the surface of this object. Okay, so it's good. I'm going to do this, and now I'm going to roll this through. So I'm kind of holding my hand like this. I'm making contact with the surface, and then I slowly rotate this through the overlay, and then I'm breaking it apart and slightly swirling it around. And then you can see the pattern that is transferred onto this. And then the second part of this is that you would, I'm going to try to rinse off some of the film. So the PVA is there, it's really slimy. I got it on my hand. And so I'm going to go to this bucket and I'm going to very gently rinse some of the PVA off. It's blaze fire, yes. So we're doing like a third firing. I'll show you the finished piece in just a moment. So this is an overglaze. So think about like a luster, how you put that in as a lower fire, third firing. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside now, and then I'll wipe my hands, and then I'll show you an object after it's been fired. So I have the overlays, and I fired it. I have this example, and I fired it to cone 05. I know that Scott's Hydroprinting, that product, he fires at a higher temperature, so perhaps more versatile. Where's a good spot? So you can see, I don't know what the best way to see it. Anyway, you can see the results after the firing. So it has a little bit of like a kind of etched into the surface quality, and you know some things slightly change about the appearance. You know, it doesn't look like ink on the surface, right? So it's an interesting way to create surface decoration, surface designs. That also embraces sort of experimental technique, right? So you're letting go of some of the designing because some of that is happening naturally through this process. Okay? For a question?
What kind of freight do you use?
Oh, I remember. It was like 3124, I think what it is. Yeah. What? No, that was just like that was the overlays, and that was so then that's the overlays technique that I was going to cover, and then I'm going to do a reset. I need to kind of clear out some of this debris from the tape.
Apologies, can you repeat the number of the fridge?
3124.
3124?
3124.
That's not a low fire fridge, is it?
I I have to look at my notes.
Thank you.
I can look at my laptop after the presentation. I should say. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna take a moment and I'm gonna reset and switch screens, leave my screen